to, I first introduce myself. My name is Michael Scott. I'm the founder and CEO of Parents Coach to Parents Network. When I was going through the recruiting process with my son back in 2005, 2006 timeframe, I noticed that there was a whole lot of missing information. I really didn't know when to start. Should I have started when he was in middle school? Should I have started when he was in early high school? When should I have started? I didn't know that, and there was nobody sharing that information with me. Had an opportunity to sit down and talk to a athletic director at a local high school here in Hampton Roads area, and he basically told me that, well, your son's going to go to college and he's going to play. What about the other 12 to 15 kids on the team? What about the other 75 kids on the football team? What about them? You know, everybody doesn't have the opportunity to get that information that the athletic director was sharing with me at the time. And to me, it frustrated me because I had this impression that, okay, if your child's not a, as they called them at the time, blue chippers or elite or whatever they want to call them, if your child's not that child, then he or she is on their own, which I thought was totally wrong. So as a result, I started putting together some information. I started looking into what the NCAA had to offer as far as information out there for parents. Now, there wasn't a whole lot. Started looking at what the National Federation of High School Sports had to offer. Wasn't a whole lot. Started going online and looking at the different recruiting services and seeing what they had to say to the parents other than just to the athletes. It wasn't a whole lot. So that said, okay, there's a requirement here. Parents need the information because a lot of times we're the ones that's going to be making the big decisions. You know, the athlete's going to figure out what he or she, what school they want to go to, but who's going to pay for them to go to this camp, this clinic, play on this team? You know, all the other little things that we do that's overlooked. And, you know, at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we have our investment in the whole process. So as a result, I formed this program, Parents Coach to Parents Network. Been up and running, like I said, since 2006, 2007 time frame. Had the opportunity to meet a whole great group of people. I'm going to introduce my great panel here. If you look to my far left, you have Ms. Alexis Avery. Mrs. Avery is coming to us from Chowan University. Sitting next to her right, immediately to her right, is the man himself, Mr. Andy Hilton. And Andy is the CEO and founder of
Recruit 757.
Recruit 757. I didn't know if it was Ultimate Recruit.
Well, we're now doing Recruit 804, Recruit Northern Virginia, but Recruit 757 for our local audience is enough to chew on.
Sitting next to Mr. Andy Hilton to his right is Mrs. Shonda DeBerry. I got it right. Hey, pat myself on the back. It's Shonda DeBerry. Shonda DeBerry is a high school guidance counselor. Sitting next to Ms. DeBerry is my man, my partner, my motivator, is Mr. Larry Obama from Virginia Pop. Larry has encouraged me to keep this thing going. We also have our moderator, Mr. Mike Whittington. Mike does a number of things. He's one of the greatest stats people that you see running around the Hampton 757 area. So you may find him in any gym anywhere around the country doing stats. But Mike also coaches at a number of different levels.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming out. You know, I'm pleased that Mr. Scott gave me this opportunity because, you know, I coach high school football, coach girls basketball at the middle school level. I coach my son's team. So, and I actually am a former student athlete who was covered by Mr. Obama in college. I'm sorry about that. But, you know, I have nothing but utmost respect for him and Mr. Scott, you know, for, you know, covering me and giving me this opportunity. But as a real quick thing on me, you know, not to think about myself, but I'm a former student athlete, single parent home. My mom didn't have a clue about the recruiting process. She, you know, I love my mom to death, but she didn't know. And so, you know, it was by the grace of God, Mr. Berry, good job. I had a great guidance counselor and head coach that looked out for me and helped walk me through the recruiting process. And I was able to get a full scholarship to college. You know, it set me up with my SATs, clearinghouse and all those things, which I'm sure they're going to touch on today. So without further ado, we're going to get this started with the very first question for the panel, which is, what do you feel, if any, would be the role of a parent guardian in the recruiting process?
Be the parent that thinks about the details, that goes beyond thinking about the athletic field, guiding them to think about more than on the field and more so both on and off the field, because academics is important.
I would challenge parents to look at it much like a hiring process. If you want your child to have a scholarship, they need to know, you need to know the process, because as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, they're not going to have as much life experience as you. You have to take a role in your child's recruitment. You have to set them up the best way that you know how, with great academics, as you mentioned. Character makes a difference, because college coaches, there are thousands and thousands of kids out there that want the same opportunity that your son or daughter does. And a coach is going to look at this one versus that one, and if they can't see the difference in their on the field or on the court skills and on their grades, the next thing that comes is character, because every coach is going to want someone who's a leader in the locker room, on the field, off the field, on the college campus. And your son or daughter not only has to show that, but be able to communicate that to the coach that's recruiting them. Your high school coach can do a lot, but don't expect the high school coach to be the one to get scholarship offers for your son or daughter, because realistically, it is all going to fall on the athlete. They're the ones that has to be able to sell themselves and has to be able to demonstrate why they deserve the scholarship offer.
I agree with not getting lost as a former Division I athlete myself and going through the recruiting process, but not getting lost in all of the hoopla, understanding that ultimately it is about the education and helping keep that student athlete organized as well, with all of the information that's coming in, deciphering between those details is very, very important. And as you said, building that character and helping that student athlete to also understand that to have a voice, because college, as a student athlete, the colleges want to know, yes, that you're part of that process, but they want to know that that student athlete also can think for themselves, can speak for themselves, able to articulate their thoughts and have questions as well.
I want to piggyback on everything that everybody said. She said about speaking. I can't tell you the number of athletes that I deal with. I'm also a former Division I athlete. Athletes who can't speak well. And if you know that your child has a problem speaking or feeling comfortable, talk to them, give them lessons about how to speak well in front, not just in front of reporters and stuff, but just in front of people. They got to need those skills as they go to college. So it's important to drill them on that. Just to have, sessions about how to speak well, no sir, no ma'am, things like that. I mean, simple things that you think we should have, but we take for granted, we don't know. The other thing that I think is huge too is, being a supporter, but be honest with yourself. Is your son or daughter really a Division I athlete, or is he or she maybe a Division II or maybe Division III? A lot of times parents, and I see it all the time, especially in my business, they live through their child. They think their child is not only going to be Division I, but they're going to the NFL, WNBA, all that kind of stuff. Be honest with yourself and be honest with your child. You're setting them up for failure if you don't be honest with them. Yeah, that's all I have to say. But support them, be their backbone for them. As Andy was saying, you're talking about 16, 17, 18-year-old children who they think they know it all, they don't, and they just need to be sat down and taught exactly what needs. Hey, we know life is rough out here in the real world, and you don't want to set them up for failure.
We must be our child's biggest advocate. We have to be there. We have to be there in their corner through thick and thin. What I think we as parents need to realize that these college coaches and parents that have known me and we have talked for years, you've probably heard me say this and I will continue to say this, and I say this all the time at Andy's workshop. These college coaches remind me of a used car salesman. And hopefully nobody in the audience is used car. Ain't nobody used car salesman. Okay, all right. But remind me of a used car salesman. And what I mean by that is, used car salesmen have a mission. Think about what that used car salesman is doing. He's taking somebody else's car that they just got rid of because they didn't want it. The probably was about to fall apart, or they found it on the streets of Louisiana after Katrina and decide to fix that car up make it look pretty, put a little wax on it, armor all the time, whatever they do, you know, do a nice new paint job, and then sell that to the next young man that's coming along. The analogy I like to use all the time is that the used car salesman can sell the dough out of the biscuit without breaking the crust. They're professional salesmen. And the college coaches have been trained to do exactly that. So they're gonna sell those dreams to your child. And if we as parents aren't there to be the buffer, to at least say, oh, coach, that don't sound right. Or something's wrong with that picture, something's wrong with that program. Then our child may get caught up in the hype and as a result be at a place where he or she really and truly don't want to be. So we have to be the buffer. We have to help them watch out for the used car salesman. And most importantly, we must be their biggest advocate.